Why would you target the category of weapon that, again, accounts for the least amount of homicide?
Because they have a potential to kill a lot of people very quickly.
Okay, cars have a potential to kill a lot of people. What if I drove a car through this crowd right now?
Cars are heavily regulated. You have to have a license. You have to do tests.
They're already regulated, but like a third grader could pass a driving test, right? If I wanted to kill a lot of people, you could drive a car through this crowd right now and kill a ton of people. We're not gonna restrict cars. How's it going?
Hey, how you doing?
What's up, Cam?
Cam?
Cam.
Lance, Kyle. Nice to meet you. Is this like connected to the
It's connected to the camera. Yeah.
Word. All right.
So just make sure you're talking to it.
Yeah, sure.
It's a little messed up, but.
So two things. I was going to do a counter argument first, but I wanted to like hear out the position. So what is the argument you give for that?
So the argument is that BLM, the organization and the movement, in conjunction with themselves and the money they raised through the movement and organization, influenced, endorsed, and implemented policies that directly resulted in people like Carlos Brown not going to jail or being released from jail, being able to walk the streets and ultimately kill people like Irina Zaruska, right? So, like for example, North Carolina has a racial equity task force, or had a racial equity task force for policing. There's also a risk assessment tool used here in Mecklenburg County, which basically determines whether or not people should be released from jail pre-trial. Mm-hmm. They use socioeconomic factors to determine that. It's funded by the MacArthur Institute. MacArthur Foundation. There's also what's called the Justice Challenge here in this county, which basically has the goal of reducing the jailed population. There's also bail reform here. I think all of those things are problems. If you look at how bail reform affects the incarceration of violent criminals across the United States, in New York City, for example, in 2021, after bail reform, 50% of all violent felons were released after arrest pre-trial. If you look at Illinois, only 9% of misdemeanor battery assailants were held in jail. If you look at Illinois, Washington, D.C., 36 to 37% of all violent offenders were released pre-trial. These policies do things, and they allow people like Carlos Brown to walk free here in Mecklenburg County and kill people like Irina Zaruska.
Sure. My general response would be that there's a collection of different policies that can result in lowering crime. Some of them would be right-wing, some of them would be more left-wing. Most of them are kind of more authoritarian. So like you would want to have more tracking of guns. You'd probably want more gun regulation. That would probably make the cops' job easier. You would also want higher funding for the police, which would not be a left-wing position at all. It's a collection of different policies that would result in generally lowering the rate of crime. I think it's easy for us to look at a single situation like this and to obviously it's going to get politicized because it's a political event, but
it's a pattern. Like I showed you across several different states and Washington D.C., which is a district. The rate of violent offenders being released, felons being released from jail pre-trial, goes up substantially when you have bail reform or the elimination of cash bail. There's no cash bail in D.C. or Illinois. There is cash bail here in North Carolina, but it's reduced. There's been bail reform, which has allowed people like Carlos Brown to walk free after 14 mostly violent priors. He has a criminal history of attacking women. He was arrested twice on 2 separate incidents for attacking 2 separate women, and he was released.
I'm not going to make normative claims about what policies we should have in relation to that. I'd have to look up more research on the arguments for releasing, for the bail policies. But I just want to present a counter argument. If we're trying to reduce crime, if that's our general goal, why would we not go also hard in the direction of gun control safety? It seems like that would.
For example, like Carlos Brown didn't kill Irina Zaruska with a gun.
But
he killed her with a knife.
For a wider conversation.
Well, okay, so what kind of gun do you want to ban? Like when you see gun control, what kind of gun do you want to ban or restrict?
No specific kind. I mean, fully automatics are already gone, but
all of them?
No, not all of them.
Okay,
like red flag laws or something like that. For example, or like child safety laws.
Yeah, so I would disagree with red flags.
The ones that have the most statistics backing them.
I would disagree with red flag laws because if I didn't like you, I could say this person's mentally ill and shouldn't have a gun, and then all of a sudden your rights are being impinged upon because I didn't like you. I think that's a problem. But also, look at like rifles, for example, assault rifles, AR-15s. These are the primary category of firearm that is trying to be banned. Okay, they're made for civilian use. They're not assault rifles. But furthermore, rifles account for the least amount of homicide of any weapon category. If you look at the Universal Crime Reporting Database run by the FBI, Table 8, you are more likely to be kicked to death than you are to be shot and killed by a rifle. You're 4 times more likely to be stabbed to death than you are to be shot and killed by a rifle. You're more likely to be killed with a blunt object than you are to be killed with a rifle. You're more likely to be struck by lightning in the United States than you are to be killed by a rifle if you compare the rifle homicide with the weather service and the amount of people struck by lightning every year.
Sure, but we could also say that you're very unlikely to get hit by a nuke, but nukes are still dangerous.
Sure, but
So we have very
there's a
strict
difference.
laws governing which countries.
But this is not analogous
nuke-wise.
because right now, I can't buy a nuke, you can't buy a nuke. The access to nukes is very restricted. The access
As it
to
should be.
firearms is not very restricted here in the United States. There is access to these weapons, right? And they happen to not kill very many people, rifles. Handguns kill way more people. I think it's 45% of all homicide in the United States is carried out by handguns. But I don't see a single person advocating that we ban handguns. Not one.
Well, I'm not arguing for the banning completely outright of rifles. I'm arguing for more strict control of the possession and distribution of rifles and sales.
Right, but why would you target the category of weapon that, again, accounts for the least amount of homicide?
Because they have a potential to kill a lot of people very quickly.
Okay, cars
It's a
have a
very
potential to
dangerous-
kill a lot of people. What if I
And
drove a car through this
cars are
crowd right
heavily
now?
regulated. You have to have license. You have to do tests.
They're already regulated, but like a third grader could pass a driving test, right? If I wanted to kill a lot of people, you could drive a car through this crowd right now and kill a ton of people. We're not gonna restrict cars. Right.
There's two things. You are sort of restricting cars by having licenses, and also
We already restrict guns more than that by having background checks and in most states permit requirements.
Well, that's not for every state. It should be a federal requirement.
Most of them it is.
But
and every state you have to have a background check. You don't have to have a background check to own a car, right? But you do have to have a background check to own a firearm. Already more restricted, right? But a car has a capacity, in my opinion, for a lot more death.
Car also has
any
way
gun
more
that you have,
utility.
you're restricted by the amount of bullets you can carry in it.
The car also has way more utility, though,
Why?
because you have to have a car to live in the United States.
Okay, well, I would say that in some places in the United States, you need a gun to defend yourself.
Sure.
Yeah, and also, like, some people just like driving cars, and that's their hobby. Like, my friend over here, he has a lot of cars. He likes cars. He likes to drive them. He likes to have them. He likes to look at them, right? I like to have guns. I like to look at them. I like to shoot them.
Same.
And
I'm not saying guns have no
sufficient.
utility.
Yeah, sure. Yeah,
I'm not
you
saying
bet.
guns have no utility.
Yeah, sure. They die? Nah, that's all right. Yep. Sorry, you were saying?
No, I'm sorry. I'm not saying guns have no utility. I'm just saying that the level of utility is not balanced to the risk factor. Or that I'm not saying we should get rid of them all, because it is important to have like self-defense and protection.
I disagree. We wouldn't have this. I disagree. We wouldn't even have this country if it wasn't for guns.
Well,
right?
for sure, but I mean,
So if we didn't have a violent revolution that overthrew the British Empire, we wouldn't be here talking about this right now. We'd be all sipping tea and speaking with funny accents.